My name is Brian Miller, CEO and Director and co-founder of Astra Exploration, and I'm going to be introducing you into an opportunity that I think is very rare in the junior space. Start out with people. I don't have the time to go through all the bios in detail. I would encourage you to look at them, see what they've done in their career, the discoveries they've made, the things they've put into production. They've created a lot of value for their shareholders. We're aiming to do that again with this company. Looking at deposit types that we've previously explored and discovered, put into productions in the area in which we're doing that. Down at the management level, we've got local presence in the companies in which we operate, in the countries in which we operate, Chile and Argentina. I'll call out Diego Guido here quickly because he is our head of exploration. He's based in Buenos Aires. He is a foremost expert in epithermal systems, primarily in the Deseado Massif region, which we'll be talking about. The personnel component doesn't end there. You'll notice in some of our major shareholders, we've got some very big names backing us. Michael Gentile's been a shareholder since we did our first public offering. He's been a repeat investor. He is our largest shareholder, as well as Peter Moroni, former CEO and chair of Yamana Gold. Yamana did a lot of operation and mining for these types of deposits in this area. Mason Resources, Mason Resources Group, Simon Marcotte, Peter Damouni, Fahad Al-Tamimi, and Victor Cantori are major shareholders, as well as Agentis Capital, Michael Gray, and Scott Speed's group. Management owns 15%. We've bought every one of our shares. We've participated in every financing that we've offered. We're very well aligned with our shareholders. Collectively, those groups that I talk about there own over 70% of this company, so it's very closely held with a small public float. 84 million shares out, 110 million fully diluted, a market cap of about 14 million, and currently cash on hand of about $1.5 million. That gets us through this drill program that we're looking to start next month, or later this month now, I'll tell you about. 3 projects in the portfolio, 2 in northern Chile, 1 in southern Argentina. The one I'm going to talk about today for the sake of time is the one in Argentina, where we will be commencing the drill program fully funded later in March. The province is Santa Cruz, historically one of the most mining-friendly provinces in Argentina. The region here we're talking about is the Deseado Massif, perhaps the most endowed region in the world for epithermal gold and silver. It's host to several past-producing mines, as well as many currently operating mines, including major mines like Cerro Negro to the north and Cerro Vanguardia to the east. The region leads Argentina in gold and silver production, and there's a new political shift in Argentina. There's a new investment regime. We're seeing a lot of investment in the country, favorable atmosphere for business in general, but particularly mining. Going to zoom right in on the claim groups here. It's a good-sized land package, 5,600 hectares. It's a big rectangular shape. The existing resource and known mineralization is very centralized in this claim group. So you have multiple kilometers in any direction to step out for expansion. There's several regional targets of veins and veinlets that have been mapped at surface with high grade that have never been explored. The previous drilling was all shallow, about 160 to 170 meters depth. The opportunity that we see here is the discovery of these high-grade feeder zones, or the plumbing of the system, if you will. We signed an option agreement. We can earn a 90% interest over a 6-year period on very favorable deal terms. The thing that gets most people's attention about this right away are the grades. They really are spectacular. We have some widths that are typical of what you see in low sulfidation system, that 1 to 5 meters thickness, but you have 20 grams of gold, 50 grams of gold, 250 grams of gold, and multiple kilos of silver on top of that. We even have some intervals that are impressively wide, 20 meters at 10 gram gold and 800 grams silver. When we started with this, our thought was that the main opportunity is at depth here. And we think that's still the case, but what's been developing as we continue to reconstruct the geological model is we're seeing this thing open up in all directions. And I'll talk a little bit about that. Previous exploration has focused on defining this near-surface oxide resource. And so that's only been drilled shallowly. This is a cross-section from roughly that same area where that 20-meter interval was. You can see the holes intersecting good grades, even down to the deepest hole at 160 meters, 118 gram of gold over just a meter, that's still open at depth, undrilled. And so we ask ourselves, why is this opportunity still here? What do we think was missed? And there's several key features that add up to what we think is going on here. One of the main points is that when we reconstructed the geological model after relogging several thousands of meters of core, was that there are more individual veins in this system than were previously modeled. We know that there was difficulty as far as wrapping heads around the grade control. We noted there was pinching and swelling in some of the previous notes. And what we think happened there was as they were stepping out along strike here, drilling, they were actually intersecting different veins and perhaps thinking they were the same vein. So they would see grade fluctuation, they would see what they thought was pinching and swelling, but they were different veins. This vein 7 here, furthest to the south in the main zone, this is the most important structure that we've identified on the property so far, and it lays at a different strike. You'll note that the drill holes up toward the north don't look like they're long enough to reach that vein. When you put them in a cross section here, what you see is drilling that intersects all of these structures here, and vein 7 is still hanging out to the west there. The drill holes never reached it. In addition, there is a post-mineral breccia that covers the veins. It keeps them from outcropping at surface. This is a really important feature that Diego identified early on, was that the post-mineral breccia was actually interpreted as host rock. That's really important as you move further to the southeast because that cover gets thicker. They were expecting to drill vein in there. They didn't hit vein. They concluded that the system terminated to the southeast, when in fact we know the veins extend underneath that cover. That opens the system up to the southeast as well. So not only is this open at depth, but it's also open along strike. Everything I'm talking about here is all in the main zone. The eastern zone has seen far less exploration. There's 133 drill holes for about 22,000 meters on this project. 8 of those holes are in the eastern zone. 5 of those holes intersected gold intervals of 5 grams per ton or greater, one of which was a 4-meter interval of 16 gram gold. That occurred 53 meters downhole. This eastern zone is entirely open along strike and to depth. It has never been followed up, but it is a parallel structure to that vein 7 just there to the southwest. This is a photo of the eastern zone looking to the northwest. This is a 1-meter thick vein that outcrops at surface with high grade. This has never been drilled. You can walk along that vein and follow it all the way uphill and watch that vein turn into these narrow veinlets at surface. And so what that tells us is that these narrow veins, even 10 centimeters or less, develop into these thicker structures at depth. They've never been drilled. So there's a lot of exploration potential here. This whole area is filled with these narrow high-grade veinlets. That's what they created the bulk tonnage resource with. So just to talk about some of the recap, the bullet points here, the target is a multi-million ounce high-grade epithermal system. There's proven bonanza grades near surface. A lot of these drill intersections are open along strike and at depth. You've got a big land package with multiple kilometers in any direction to step out, with several veins and veinlets at surface that are outcropping with high grades. The vein texture and geochemistry indicates that we're still high in the system. That's usually indicative of a preservation of the precious metals deposit area. There's also a good analogy for this, and that is the Cerro Negro deposit. Diego had spent a lot of time at Cerro Negro. He's had access to several projects in the region. He's also an academic, a professor at La Plata. So he's had access to a lot of projects. One of them was Cerro Negro. He was on La Manchuria 20 years ago and then at Cerro Negro afterward. And he was thinking the whole time he was at Cerro Negro of the similarities that he had seen at La Manchuria. He's wanted this project for several years. We were able to sign an agreement late last year on it. So Diego is really excited by what we're seeing here. Now, I'm not saying that we have a Cerro Negro. It's obviously too early. But what I am saying is that if you're looking for another Cerro Negro type deposit, you want to see these types of similarities that we're seeing at La Manchuria. There is, I mentioned, an existing 43101 resource. It is small. This isn't the big opportunity that we see here. The opportunity that we see, again, is these high-grade feeder zones, a classic parallel high-grade epithermal system. So that wraps it up. That's La Manchuria. We're over in the booth next door in the room in the back. If you have questions, please come by. I'd be more than happy to give you the details about why we're so excited about this upcoming drill program.